What's going on YouTube? Byrdman here with another Destiny 2 video. Today we're going to be covering the exotics that you must have for Titan before going into Witch Queen for Void 3.0. There's going to be an entire overhaul of this entire subclass. So these are the exact exotics that you at least now must have before going into that. Now, before I get into the video, know you can follow me over on YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch and use code BYRDEDSheefield checkout. Especially follow me over on Twitter just because I'm going to be doing announcements of whenever that code is going to be 30% off. So make sure you're following me over there. And also just give a thumbs up on this video. It helps me out so very much. And comment down below what exotics and even like exotic weapons that you're interested in right now before going into Witch Queen. Now, let's hop right on in. So since essentially Destiny 1, we've been used to this kind of setup for our subclasses, how they are structured. First in Destiny 1, we mainly just got to choose between our 3 different grenades, our 3 different jumps, and then 2 different sections of the subclass itself. Once Destiny 2 came around, we got to choose our abilities, and then halfway through Destiny 2, we got to choose the 3rd different tree as well. This has always been a very kind of just super structured way to create subclasses, mainly for the fact that whenever you pick on these sections, you really can't dive into any of these extra little perks and any of the other little trees, but you do have the option to really kind of synergize them well with your different jumps, mainly your grenades more than anything. So like if you're using Code of the Commander, Void Wall Grenade is going to be a lot more effective than maybe a suppressor grenade, but maybe on Defensive Strike or the top tree, using a suppressor grenade is better because it stuns the enemies. You're able to run up and get that defensive strike in. So different things like that is essentially how we've had it structured since, but when we get Void 3.0, it's going to be structured more like we have it here in Stasis. Now, when Stasis came around in Beyond Light, we got this whole new different skill tree, the way to kind of customize your entire subclass. It's the same thing with the abilities, the same thing with the jumps. Right now, we only have 1 melee in Stasis. I really hope that we eventually get something else out of that. But then we also get 3 completely different grenades. Now, the grenades are across all 3 different characters, so each one of them has the same styles. You're not going to get like a different grenade per, but the things that are going to be different going into Void 3.0 is the fact we're going to be getting fragments and aspects. Now, first off, let's start with the fragments. Fragments are just like these little fun boosts that are going to kind of help differ your entire subclass itself, that you essentially every single behemoth might have a different setup going on here. Some of them might be like, you know what, I want to have more ability energy. Some of them might want more melee energy, something like that. And it's really awesome just the fact that it also will do different changes to your different strengths, your mobility, your resilience down here. So if I like look at this Whisper of Hedrons, I'm going to lose out on strength. I'm going to lose out on my intellect. I'm going to lose out on my resilience. That different setup is really cool just because, again, it really kind of expands these classes and makes them a whole lot different from one another. Now, the one thing about fragments is the fact they are account wide. So your Hunter, your Warlock, and your Titan will all share these. So this will be really cool when it comes to Void 3.0, mainly for the fact that, again, that we're going to be able to kind of focus in on one character, and then whenever you jump in the next one, you're not having to worry about getting all these different fragments after the fact as well. Now, one thing we got to talk about is aspects. Aspects are the one thing that's going to really change up your class and make it different from all the other ones. Now, we look at the Howl of the Storm. Whenever I slide and activate my charge melee, this wave of stasis energy is going to go flying towards me, and it's also going to create stasis crystals. This is really cool because it really changes up, again, each class from the other. When you have your Stasis Hunter, you have Shatter Dive. Whenever you have Stasis Warlock, you can get the little stasis turrets that are going to shoot stasis bolts all around the area and freeze enemies. This was really cool just because, again, it's really going to change up all the different classes and make them different. Now, with Void 3.0, we've already kind of seen that this is probably going to happen with different things, such as we've seen a Hunter that's able to do Shatter Dive, but whenever they do Shatter Dive, it makes them invisible and stuns enemies around them. Whenever we've seen the Titan, he throws a throwing shield that will hit enemies and hurt them. Now, we don't know if that's going to be an aspect or if it's going to be like a charge melee. I hope it's a charge melee just because of things like Code of the Commander right now having a throwing shield and that being able to activate that detonation on an enemy from a distance would be really awesome. But again, I'm expecting it to be an aspect, at least from now. And then so far, we've also seen the Warlock do like this Kamehameha from Dragon Ball Z, shooting this bolt towards enemies and hurting them. So again, if stasis is something to kind of look at, to kind of expect out of Void 3.0, I'm really freaking excited just because of the absolute crazy differences we're going to have between all of our different classes and just expanding upon Void as it is right now. That'll essentially leave Solar and Arc kind of in the dust. I'm really hoping that we get an Arc overhaul here, ideally before Lightfall, but I'm expecting it probably be at Lightfall. But it's kind of a weak class all around right now. Solar is kind of easily the strongest, even though I'm kind of a Void simp at the end of the day. Now, the main reason why you came to this video, kind of finding out exactly what exotics that you need to snag for Void 3.0. First off, let's start with our helmets, kind of look at that and see what exactly we need to get. First off, I'm going to say the Helm of Sane 14 is an absolute lock. First off, it reads, enemies that enter Ward of Dawn are blinded, while allies that pass through gain an overshield. Guarding with Sentinel Shield blinds enemies nearby as well. So that's really awesome all around, just because, again, it's going to be really cool with Void 3.0, the fact that we're probably going to be able to change our different supers, select which one we want to do instead. So if I want to do just a Ward of Dawn, do a Bubble Titan, kind of build like that, I can do that. If I want to put up that giant Sentinel Shield, I can do that as well. The fact that enemies will be stunned by that is really neat. Now, I think this is probably going to be on like the lower end, just because Helm of Sane 14 has always been kind of just an absolute lock for Void Titans. It's not going to really, I would say, dramatically change your builds. It's not going to synergize with anything. It's going to mainly synergize with your super, but at the same time, we don't know what the fragments that we're going to have, if they're going to help synergize with supers, if I'm going to have an aspect that's going to synergize with it really well. Regardless, the Helm of Satan 14 has always been a lock for Void Titans. Make sure you're snagging one. If you can find it in Engram, cool, but I know Zerg sells them a lot, so that's also an easy one to get. I would say an exotic for this that could be a sleeper could be the Mask of the Quiet One, purely off the fact that grants ability energy when you're damaged and when you're critically wounded, regain maximum health on kills. Now, this actually kind of works really well with well mods. We're going to say well a lot in this video, so be ready. But this works really well with those. I think that with like Code of the Commander and like maybe some fragments and aspects, this could be even better, just purely off the fact that this will start healing you when you're critically wounded, but also the void detonations that we have in Code of the Commander actually can heal you and your teammates and give you some energy. So this could synergize really well. Again, I'm thinking that the Helmet Saint 14, at least in the helmet slot, will be a better option, but this just could be like, again, just that one that comes out of nowhere and is just really neat to use. Next up, we got to talk about our gauntlets. Now, the easiest pick for me is the Doom Fang Pauldrons. This is an absolute, again, lock for Void Titans. I mean, essentially day one of Destiny, just because it worked really well with bottom tree, and then once we got the Code of the Commander, the middle tree for Void, it got even better just because of the different Void detonations you're able to do. The Doom Fangs themselves read Void melee kills, give super energy, and when Sentinel Shield's active, melee kills recharge shield throw, which extends your super on hits. So again, you can absolutely do it like half of an entire lost sector with just these gauntlets on, using your super. So it's really busted. Again, I think this is going to be something where like different fragments in there are going to really help push it to the highest potential it could be. I would also say that this is probably going to be best for just a actual Sentinel running around melee build rather than defending any teammates. This is going to be your aggro exotic for Void Titan. I would say an obvious, like, kind of like sleeper one to have always is the Synthoceps, just throughout the fact that it increases your melee lunge, improved melee and super damage when you're surrounded. Again, this has always been a lock for any Titan in general, doesn't matter what class you use. So I think they could have really good synergies, especially with that throwing shield, maybe getting some extra melee damage on it if it counts as that, kind of like how Throwing Hammer does right now. So again, really cool, really interested to see what this could do. Now, this next exotic is the one I think you need to have the most. It's the easiest choice. It's been in the game since Destiny 1, and that's the Heart of Inmost Light. Now, when it came to Destiny 2, it got a bit of a revamp, and it reads, using any ability, grenade, melee, or barricade, empowers the other two abilities. Empowered means abilities have faster regen, melees and grenades do more damage, and barricades have more hit points. Now, this is awesome just because, again, it synergizes perfectly with well mods. Right now, it perfectly synergizes with middle tree Code of the Commander. So once we get those fragments and the different aspects added onto this, it's going to be absolutely busted. Me and a homie Chadley99, we've been messing with this like all week, just having like a blast with middle tree Code of the Commander with this. I think this is going to be an easy pick for you to grab, and I just hope that, again, those fragments that we're going to be getting ideally in Void 3.0 are just enough to really push you constantly being able to use your abilities and constantly be able to get like void detonations off. We don't even know if there's going to be like something else added isolated in there. We might get like a totally new like void ability where it like stuns or weakens or something like that. Regardless, this is going to be one if you are just looking to absolutely decimate content without really having to push yourself in one different direction. So that being like if you're just going with Helm Save 14, you're only getting that blinding. If you're going with Doomfangs, you have to be using your super all the time to kind of constantly keep up that energy. This is just one that makes you the best Titan you can be. Now, an exotic that I think is going to kind of be a little bit of one of those sleepers again for you to look into is the Severance Enclosure. I actually have a melee Solar Titan build with this using Throwing Hammer. It's really fun. I really like it. But again, when we saw that Throwing Shield in the gameplay, it really kind of made me go, wow, this is going to be possibly something that you really want to use. The fact that those powered melee kills give you that huge damaging explosion, the fact that the bigger the enemy, the bigger the explosion itself is really cool for me. I just really hope that this exotic specifically kind of gets a little bit more love. I hope we're able to get plenty of like throwing shields to constantly activate this. And just regardless, I think this is one that you just need to snag, have in your back pocket to definitely try out for just some super fun, wacky content. Now, we only have one pair of legs I really want to talk about, and that's a Peregrine Greaves. These actually kind of got an inadvertent buff recently with the fact that Shield Bash and Hammer Strike and Seismic Strike kind of got their own different buffs. The fact that this reads all Solar Charge abilities, all three I just mentioned, deal bonus damage when activated in the air. This is just really cool just because you're going to be able to constantly activate that powered melee, and ideally because of the fragments that we have, probably comboed with well mods at the same time. So I'm really excited for this. This is just already a really cool one just for the fact you're able to essentially one-shot certain yellow bar bosses. You're able to one-shot champions at times with certain scenarios with like focusing lens and stasis. So again, it'll be really cool. I'm really excited for this. So those are the exotics that I think are probably going to be the best. Comment down below if you think there's something else that I missed out on that might not have gotten enough love so far that would really work with Void 3.0. I do think, though, that I've kind of hit all the main ones that will really synergize the best for it. So we shall see. I'm really excited for Void 3.0 because Void has been my favorite subclass since Destiny 1. I was a Bubble Titan since day one. So the fact that we have something where it's kind of revamping my favorite class and kind of giving it that stasis treatment where we're getting all the fragments to different aspects to really set ourselves apart is really awesome. Again, comment down below ones that you think are interesting. Comment some different primary energy and heavy exotic weapons that you're interested in, because I know with the recent TWA, we heard that those are all going to be doing a lot more damage to red bar enemies. So I just want to know exactly what you are going to be using for this. And also, guys, make sure you give me a thumbs up on this video. Follow me on YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch at Byrdman778 and using code BYRD at GFuel checkout. Guys, I hope you have a great night, day, or whatever it may be.